how you doing? I hope you're having a damn great day. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be discussing Jose Mourinho's Real Madrid tactics. Of course, the 4-2-3-1 system that he ran whilst at Real Madrid. A very, very, very effective counter-attacking structure, as well as just a dominating presence that entire team had on their opponents. Whether it was prime Barcelona, whether it was Getafe, it didn't matter. They were very, very good. All ends up very structurally sound, very good fluid flowing, free attacking football. It was incredible. So if you guys can do me the biggest honor, the biggest favor, hit that like button down below, subscribe if you are new, and let's hop on straight into the goddamn video. So taking a look at what the formation was, and it is a 4-2-3-1 wide, but I've made no changes to the system whatsoever. So it is one goalkeeper, two centre backs, two full backs, two DMs, two wider midfielders, one attacking midfielder, and then of course one striker. Now with the tactics at hand and the tactical vision that I best think suits this team, it is going to be custom. I don't think that more or less the gegenpressing style, the counter-attacking style, the possession-based tiki-taka, I don't think any of it really suits what this team could do. And therefore, they were very much an outlier, and I think that very much suits how you would describe Jose Mourinho's Real Madrid side. So, custom for the tactical vision. The defensive style is set to pressure on heavy touch. Now, they would look to try and keep their structure, keep their shape more times than not, wait for the opponent to make a mistake, pounce on that, and then obviously look to try and break on the counter, and obviously score the goals. Cristiano Ronaldo, Benzema, they had Higuain at the time as well, obviously Di Maria on the right-hand side, Mesut Ozil, prime Mesut Ozil, by the way, obviously dictating the pace of play, running all of the show, making sure that he was in the right spaces, little half spaces, making sure that everything was running through him on that fast counter-attack break. But anyway, the defensive style, however, pressure on heavy touch, looking to obviously keep their structure, keep their shape, making it very hard for the opposition to try and play through them or break them down or expose them at times, which is essentially what you're trying to go with as a system. I will say this, the system itself works incredibly well in FC24. You could probably take a terrible team, put them in the Premier League, and they'd win the Premier League. That's how good the system is. That's how much I rate this system. The team width is set to 10, of course, making that nice compact structure at the back, making sure that the back line, there's no holes between it. The opposition find it very hard to try and play through the midfield and that back line, trying to exploit it at times. The depth, however, is set to a mid-block. Now, this obviously ranges and varies depending on who you're playing against. In the gameplay above, I was playing against Barcelona and I had it set to a 65 depth. Obviously, this creates like a mid-block or a high mid-block at times. But you could probably, because Jose was very pragmatic, you could probably drop it depending on how the game plan is set to be played out. So I would say range between 45 and 65, and I think you will find a very solid set of instructions. As for the build-up play on the offensive side of things, it's set to balance. Now, they could go with the long ball over the top. They could also go with the quick, fast-paced counter-attacking football. So you can set it fast build-up, or you can have it set to a balanced approach, which is what I like personally. It allows you to incorporate multiple facets of their game. As for the chance creation, it is set to forward runs. Now, this will obviously encourage your front four more times than not to get out on the break, try and run in behind, trying to exploit the opposition, and it also forces, when in possession of the ball, forces your team higher up the field, obviously trying to fit as many players in and around the opposition's box in their half as possible. As for the width, however, I've set it to 60 now. It can vary, it can range. They were very good at just, stretching the play, getting it out to the wingers, either Di Maria or Cristiano Ronaldo on either flank, or even the fullbacks, Arbeloa or Marcelo. They were very good at also working the ball out into those wide areas, also allowing for a bit more space and time for the likes of Xabi Alonso, Sami Khedira, Mesut Ozil to try and get on the ball and create for their teammates. But again, I've gone with 60. I think it also allows the likes of Ronaldo to cut inside a bit more, be a bit more of an inside forward on that left-hand flank. As for the players in the box, I've set it to 7, allowing for at least 3 to 4 players to be able to get into the box more times than not. It was that fluid front four, making those runs into the attacking third. And then finally, for the corners and the free kicks, as per always on the channel, I've set it to 4. Now, taking a look at the instructions, starting off at the back between the sticks, of course, it could have either been Casillas or the likes of Diego Lopez. I know that Jose preferred Diego Lopez over Casillas, which is kind of crazy to me, but either or will have the same set of instructions, right? So both of them set to come for crosses, being very good at being able to claim those crosses whipped in from corners or free kicks or just random crosses whipped into the box. Both of the goalkeepers, of course, Casillas, a legendary goalkeeper. Diego Lopez, insane in that 2-year stint at Real Madrid. Was very good at being able to also alleviate the stress and the pressure on the back line. And in terms of their saving outside of the box, for one, wasn't part of Jose's system. He wasn't interested in having a keeper that can play with his feet flat from the back. It was more of hoof the ball up the field and make sure you are on your line to make those saves, which is essentially what you're going to be doing with your goalkeeper. So for the saving outside of the box, I've set it to balanced, allowing him to be a bit more of a traditional goalkeeper and allowing him to stay on his line and make sure that, he's making those saves. Onto your centre-backs now. Of course, we've got the likes of Pepe and the likes of Sergio Ramos. Now, for Ramos, I've set him to having aggressive interceptions. And in terms of the defensive positioning, to create that very aggressive nature, which is what Ramos had, you could say have him step up, right? But at the same time, you want to try and keep the structural integrity of your back two at times very much intact. So you don't really want him to be doing too much, getting too close to the opposition attackers. As for the likes of Pepe, at the same time, you could have the same instructions for him, telling him to be aggressive, but then you would have two centre-backs being overly aggressive and chasing the ball down and making sure that they are trying to intercept it, and that can also leave holes. So that's why I've gone for him, even though he also had a very aggressive temperament at times. I've set him to his base set of instructions, making sure that he is more or less the structurally sound centre back of the two. Onto your fullbacks now, we've got the likes of Carvajal, or it could have been Arbeloa. More times than not, it was Arbeloa starting under the likes of Jose, but he is set to join the attack, overlap, and then of course step up. So with a Jose Mourinho type system, the fullbacks alternated with who would bomb forward and who would stay back when attacking. So you can't really do that in this game, but at the same time, you'll see what I've done with Marcelo for that left back role. But at the same time, the right-hand side will be the one, creating a lot of space down the right-hand flank, allowing themselves to be a bit more involved and a bit more of an outlet ball in the attack. And yes, obviously providing that overlapping run at times. As for your left-hand side, of course, Marcelo, yes, he would join the attack. Yes, he would always be an outlet ball in the offensive build-up for this side, always linking up very effectively with Cristiano Ronaldo. But at the same time, you also want to have that, that back three type system with one of the fullbacks tucking in. So more or less, I've selected Marcelo to do so. Whereas with his run type, I know this was like slightly before the inverted fullback was an actual thing, but he would very much also look to try and link up with the midfield, build up with the likes of Xabi Alonso as well as Sami Khedira, or even providing underlapping runs for the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo. But the reason I've gone with a mixed approach is because at the same time, for all those underlapping runs he was providing, he was doing just as much on the outside, providing those overlapping runs in certain moments. And just like with the right-hand side, the left-hand side is also set to step up and be very close and aggressive towards the opposition winger. Into your midfield now, we'll start off with Xabi Alonso, of course, more of the playmaker of the two holding midfielders. So he's set to his defensive behavior being set to balance, making sure that structurally he was very much in tune, very much in shape more times, not very hard to break down. The attacking support is set to stay back while attacking, not always venturing forward, trying to create that mid-block with the two DMs sitting in front of the back line more times than not. As for the interceptions, I've set it to aggressive, and then finally, he is going to be the one that picks up the ball off of the back line, off of either Diego Lopez or Casillas, as well as your two centre-backs, and obviously looking to play it forward. And then finally, for the defensive positioning, it is set to cover the centre, making sure, like I said earlier, you want your two DMs sitting in front of the back line, shielding them as best as they can, which is a very, very, very effective maneuver for FC24. As for the likes of Tchouameni / Sami Khedira, a very underrated player in the system. I remember back in the day, like FIFA, what was it, like 11, 12? I used to dislike using Sami Khedira. Only as I've gotten older, I've actually realized the value of, one, what a great underrated player he was, and two, how good of a DM he actually was. So, yeah, anyway, I'm waffling. But for his role going forward, also set to a balanced defensive behavior, also looking just to try and keep his structure in the shape of that midfield pivots, and then finally stay back while attacking and aggressive interceptions, just like with Xabi Alonso, as well as the ability for him to stick to his position on the defensive side of things, not looking to, drift wide or be the deep-lying playmaker. He's going to literally just stay in front of the back line, making sure that if they are counterattacked on, he is there to try and sweep up in front of them, as well as the defensive positioning set to cover the center. Moving on slightly up the field now to your number 10, Mesut Ozil. This is prime Ozil before he went to Arsenal and he was doing all of his things there, but this Ozil had a really, really good work rate. And if he didn't, Jose would shout at him, which was fantastic. So for the defensive support, we've got him set to come back on defense, dropping a bit deeper, allowing him to also be able to get on the ball and then also spray those passes forward to the forwards that obviously would be running in behind. The support on crosses is set to having a balanced approach. So yes, making it into the box every now and then, but also allowing him to stay on the edge of the box to try and facilitate and create, which is what essentially you want the likes of Mesut Ozil to do. As for the positioning freedom, I've set him to free roam, and you'll see with the likes of Angel Di Maria's instructions, it allows them to, link up and create that nice fluid approach to the front line. And then finally, the interceptions, of course, like I say, he did have a work rate, but it wasn't as amazing, so I've set it to a normal set of interceptions, so you don't really want him being too aggressive with it, because more or less you're trying to create that Mesut Ozil temperament. As for the likes of Angel Di Maria now on the right-hand side as the right midfielder, he's set to come back on defense, looking to try and help out Carvajal as much as possible. And because the likes of Carvajal does, bomb on forward quite a bit, you want your right midfielder specifically to be able to, drop a bit deeper and help out. As for the transcreation, I've set it to free roam, and this will help interchange and interlink between the likes of Ozil and Angel Di Maria, shifting Ozil out wide in certain moments and allowing Di Maria to cut inside a bit more, at the same time also allowing him to be able to pop up in the little half spaces and obviously look to show for the ball a bit more. As for the supports on crosses, I've gone with a balanced approach now. Naturally, because you do have forward runs set to be on, naturally your forwards will look to try and, break in behind, trying to, exploit that space in behind the opposition's back line. So naturally, he will look to try and do that. But at the same time, in certain moments, if you're not looking to be that counter-attack, fast break type team, and you want to just slow things down, you can allow for the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo as well as Angel Di Maria to come short a bit more, be a bit more of a target man in certain moments, and link up play a bit more in those wider areas. As for the interceptions, of course, you're trying to replicate that work rate. It's set to aggressive, and then finally the support on crosses is set to balance. Now, also because you've set the players in the box set to 7, he will also look to try and break into the box every now and then. So onto your number 9 role, of course, this could have been Benzema or the likes of Gonzalo Higuain. So for the support runs, I've set it to a balance with allowing him to drift into those wider channels, opening up space for the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo or the likes of Angel Di Maria to try and, work into those more central areas. But at the same time, if needed, if required, he could take up those central areas and try and attack those crosses or cutbacks whipped into the box. As for the attacking runs, I've also gone with a mixed approach because you also want to try and incorporate a little bit of everything. The ability for him to be a false nine, drop off the back line, create that nice fluid motion in the front line at times, or potentially having him getting behind, using his pace to try and exploit the space of the opposition's back line, or even being a target man, having the link-up play, backing into the opposition, linking up with the wingers a bit more. You want to try and incorporate all that, which is why a mixed attack best gets the results that you want. As for the interceptions, it's set to aggressive, obviously trying to replicate that Benzema work rate, trying to work very hard to try and win that ball back more times than not. And then finally, the ability for him to stay forward on the defensive support, be the outlet ball, be the strong target man that he can be, and obviously link up with the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo. Which, by the way, his instructions are set to a basic defensive support, so not always coming back on and helping out on the defensive side of things, but he could do so, but at the same time allowing him to hang slightly higher up the field and be an outlet ball with the likes of Benzema. The transcreation is set to cut inside as well as getting behind. This more or less tries to create an inside type forward in that left midfield type role. And more or less, I think it works out quite well in this game. As for the interceptions, I've set it to normal, just like with Ozil not having that incredible, crazy work rate. And I think Jose allowed for that to happen. He allowed for Ronaldo to not, overdo it on the defensive side of things and try and save himself for the offensive outlets. And then finally, the support on crosses, of course, for Ronaldo, you want him breaking into the box. You want him diving at those crosses or those, cutbacks. You want him making sure that he's positioning himself in the best possible scoring moments or opportunities, making sure that he is obviously tucking the ball away. So yes, people, that is my version of Jose Mourinho's 4-2-3-1 system at Real Madrid. If you have enjoyed this, please hit that like button down below. Out of 10, I would give this a 9.5. I think in terms of what you're looking to try and do in FC24, I think you could easily win the league with a system like this. It's very structurally sound at the back, very good, very fluid flowing, and it's very hard to try and replicate systems like that where defensively you're so good and offensively you're even better. It's incredibly hard to, it's normally a give or a take type situation, but with this system, with these tactics that I've obviously tried to replicate, it works out quite well. So obviously with also better players, it feels a lot better in terms of the offensive fluidity. So yeah, a 9.5 out of 10. If you guys have enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. That would be damn near fantastic. And I will see you guys next time. I'm out.